Welcome to Foundation Revision Pack 8. So in this question we're asked to rotate a shape. So what you do is you take your piece of tracing paper, you mark on the point you've been asked to rotate around, so 1, 2, which is about here. You trace the shape, so you end up with a situation like this. You place your pen or pencil firmly on the point 1, 2, so that doesn't move, and you begin to turn the tracing paper. We're asked to do 90 degrees, which is a quarter turn, and anti-clockwise, which is the opposite way the clocks go, so that way. So let's go. So you begin to turn the shape like this, keeping your pen at that point 1, 2, go a quarter of a turn, and you end up here. So you draw on the shape in that position with coordinates 0, 3, 0, 6, negative 3, and 3. Question 1b, this time it's 180 degrees anti-clockwise. So same as before, take your tracing paper, mark on the point, and trace the shape. So the point was 0, 0 this time, right in the middle there. Place your pen on 0, 0 and begin to rotate. So if you go anti-clockwise, 180 degrees, you'll end up here. Interestingly, anti-clockwise and clockwise would both give you the same result for 180 degrees, so it wouldn't have mattered which way you go. You may not even be given that information there. So it ends up in this place here. So we've got 3, negative 1, which was there. We've got 6, negative 1 here, and then 6, negative 4 here. And that's where you draw the shape. Question 2a, on the graph we need to draw y equals 2x plus 5, and the x values go from negative 2 to 2. So first of all, draw yourself a table with x and y, and we've got to do x from negative 2 all the way up to 2, and now we need to work out the y coordinates. So using this formula here, it says y is 2 lots of x, so we're going to double x and then add 5. So let's start with 0, that's an easy one. Double 0 is 0 still, and then add 5 is 5. This time x is 1, so let's double x. Double 1 is 2, add 5 gives you 7. Now we double 2, that's 4, add 5 gives you 9. Now you'll notice a pattern, it's going up in 2s, or if we go backwards, it's going down in 2s. So rather than working out these, we can just use that pattern now. We've got 3 and then 1. So going that way, you take away 2. So now we plot these as coordinates. That's the first one. We've got negative 2 for x paired up with 1 for y. So negative 2, 1 goes here. The next one we've got negative 1 and 3. That goes here, and if you continue, you end up with 0, 5, 1, 7, and 2, 9. If you plot all those points, then join them up with a straight line that goes all the way to the edge of the graph to make sure you get all those marks in the exam. It looks like this. Similar question for y equals 2x plus 1, and we're not given the coordinates this time, so I'd recommend looking at the graph where it needs to go from negative 2 to 3. So let's draw our table again with x and y, but this time go negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, but we'll also include 3 since that's on the graph. So same as before, do 2 lots of x then add 1, 2 lots of 0 add 1 is 1, 2 lots of 1 add 1 is 3, 2 lots of 2 add 1 is 5, 2 lots of 3 add 1 is 7. And again, you'll notice it's going up in 2s. It won't always be 2s, but this one is. So take away 2 if you're going back in this direction. 1 take away 2 is negative 1. Take away 2 again is negative 3. So if we plot these points, starting with negative 2, negative 3, then negative 1, negative 1, then 0, 1, 1, 3, 2, 5, and then finally 3, 7. Join all of those up with a straight line, you'll end up with something that looks like that. Question 3a, we're given 5 cards here, and we're told that the mean is 5. So to calculate the mean, you add up all of these numbers, then divide by how many cards there are. So something, when we add it all up, we don't know what it is because there's a question mark, divide it by how many cards there are, 5, that needs to give you the mean of 5. So if we work backwards, we know the answer is 5, and there are 5 cards, so 5 times 5, rather than divide 5, gives you 25. So these cards need to add up to 25. At the moment, they don't add up to 25, obviously, they add up to 17. So if we do 25, take 17, we'll find out what's on the last card, which is 8. So if that's an 8, then the mean is 5. In a similar way to this one, we've got 4 cards this time, so something, when you add them all up, divide by 4 would give you 5. So working backwards times by 4 means they must all add up to 20. So if we do 20 and take away 9, take away that 1, and take away that 3, we'll get the missing card, which is a 7. For this one, we're asked to draw a pie chart. The first thing you do is add up these frequencies here. 7 add 2 add 1 is 12. And then you do 360. That's how many degrees in the circle, divide by 12, gives you 30. So each person, or each one of these frequencies, represents 30 degrees. So if we multiply all of those by 30, you'll get the following numbers: 210, 60, 60, and then 30. So we need to draw a car section of 210 degrees. So you first take your protractor, make sure that center there is right at the bottom of the line that's already drawn for you. Make sure this 0 is at the top, and then read the outside scale until you get to your first angle. Now our first angle is 210. That doesn't even fit on the protractor. We only go up to 180. So we need 30 more degrees. So we use this whole half a circle first, move our protractor to the other side, and then take 30 more degrees, because we've got 180, 190, 200, and 210. So 210 would be somewhere here. So you're going to need to take your protractor off, mark an X there, and draw on that line. What's key is where you put your protractor next. So still this point here, right in the middle of the circle, and this 0 here goes on the line that you just drew. So rather than being the way around it was, we make sure that 0 lines up with the line we just drew. Then you read around the outside until you hit 60 degrees this time. It's our next angle, so somewhere around here, that's 60 degrees, using the outside scale, not the inside. Always the outside for pie charts. And you put that cross on, take your protractor off, draw the line, and that's your second one. So put it back on again, but notice this 0 is now lined up with the line we just drew. Read around the outside till you hit 60, somewhere around here, take it off, draw the line on, and you're done. Now you may just want to check the last section is actually 30 degrees, then neaten it up, and the final thing to do to get the marks is label it. So the first section was car, the next one was bus, then we had walk, and finally the last section, train. Question 4b then, so if you add up the frequencies this time, it gets 24. 360 divided 24 is 15. So we multiply all 4 of these by 15 to get us our angles. Remember, you've got a calculator for this one, so that gives you these angles here that we're going to need to plot. So put it on again, make sure this is right in the center, make sure that 0 is at the top, read around to your first angle using the outside scale, 90 degrees is right there. Put on that cross, take it off, draw the line, you end up with that. Put the protractor back on, but make sure that 0 is lined up with the line you just drew. Now we'll do 75. So go around the outside, mark across at 75, which is about here. Take your protractor off, draw the line. Put it back on, make sure the 0 is lined up with the line you just drew, that one there, and read around to your next one. So all the way around on the outside scale to 150 this time here. Take your protractor off, draw that line on. You may just want to check that your last section comes out as 45 to make sure you've done it right. And finally label, so we have red, green, blue, and then yellow. Question 5a, we've got a function machine, we've got some inputs and outputs. So this input here 5, we've got to work out the output. So we times it by 6, 5 times 6 is 30, add 2, 32. This one here, negative 3 times 6 is negative 18, add 2 is negative 16. Be really careful with that, because negative 18, if you're going to add 2, you're going to go this way towards negative 16, not negative 20. 50 though, we've got to work out what the input was, so we're going to work backwards, we're going to go this way along the function machine, so we'll take off 2 rather than add 2, and we'll divide 6 rather than times 6 to undo those operations. So 50 take 2, well that's 48, divide by 6 is 8. Next function machine then, for 5b, we've got to add 1 then times by 4. So 1 add 1, that's 2, times 4 is 8. Negative 3 add 1 is negative 2, again remembering that when you add, you're going that way on the number line, so it's negative 2, not negative 4. Now negative 2, we're going to multiply that by 4, gets you negative 8. And on this one, working backwards, so going this way, we're going to divide 4, and then we're going to subtract 1. 14 divided 4 is 3.5, remember, you're allowed to calculate for this question, or just half it and half it again, then take away 1, 2.5. Question 6a, we've got to enlarge this shape by a scale factor 3. So you've got two options here. One is counting squares, so it's 2 squares across here, and it's 4 squares up. So if we multiply those by 3, because it's scale factor 3, we're going to get it going across at 6, and a height of 12. So you can simply pick a point here, and make sure that it goes up 12, 3, 6, 9, 12 here, and then make sure that it goes across 6. But very, very important, that across 6 cannot just go here or here, it must go right through the middle of the shape, there, because you'll notice this shape's symmetrical. So if you plot all those points, join them up, you end up with something like this. Slightly different approach is to use ray lines. So pick a point somewhere down in the corner, draw your ray lines on, and if it's scale factor 3, we've got to do each journey 3 times. So to go from here to here is across 2 and then up 1, that's once, across 2, up 1, that's twice, across 2, up 1, that's 3 times. So this point is going to be on the shape. This one here, we go across 1, up 3, across 1, up 3, that's the second time, across 1, up 3, for scale factor 3, that point's going to be on the shape. So if you use these two and the squares you just did before, or work out these points with ray lines too, you'll end up with exactly the same shape. So it's going to be up here at the top and then across here. So you join all those up and you end up with this shape here. Just make sure at the end that you count these squares to make sure it's the exact right height and width. This one here is only scale factor 2, so everything's going to double. So this 3 on the top is going to become 6. This 1 on the bottom is going to double to 2. And this height here of 4 is going to become 8. It's much better to avoid diagonal lines like this and try and work with lines that either go straight up or straight across. So if I was going to do this question here, I'd probably draw 1 point and 1 point here to make the bottom of my shape. So that's now 2 across rather than 1 across. And then my top needs to be 6, but where to draw this? Well, it was 4 up there, so I'm going to go up 8 this time, 4 and 8. So it's going to be somewhere around here, but it needs to be 6 across. Now, one thing to be really careful of here is to make sure this is actually central again, a bit like on the last shape. So if I plot it here and here, you notice that's symmetrical around the center line of the shape because it goes 3 and 3. So that is my 6 that I needed. So join it all up and it will look something like this. Make sure to do questions like this in pencil. It is quite easy to make a mistake, so you can rub it out and try again. Alternative approach using these ray lines then, so this will help you get some of the points. In fact, you could do it for all the points if you want to draw on some more ray lines. So across 4, up 1, across 4, up 1. We only did that twice this time because it was scale factor 2. This point is across 2, up 5, across 2, up 5. That's this point. So that gives you the bottom right and the top left point to help you out with earlier. We go 1 point here because it's a base of 2 rather than 1, and along the top needs to be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we end up here. So that's a slightly different way of trying to help you getting those points. Again, join it all up and you'll end up with a shape like this. Find 1/7 of 28. We do 28, divide it by 7, gives you 4. Find 3/8 of 88. We do 88, we divide by the bottom number. That gives you 11, and then take that 11 and times by the top number, 3, that gives you 33. So that approach was divide by the bottom number, times by the top number. 120 divided by 4 gives you £30, that's how you find a quarter of something. To find 4/5, we divide it by the bottom number, divide by 5, gives you 13, and 13 times by the top number gives you 52. So £52. Question 8a, expand and simplify. Let's expand the first bracket, we get 6x plus 12, the second bracket negative 2x, and crucially plus 6. You've got a negative 2 times a negative 3, that gives you a positive 6, not a negative. Then we simplify 6x, take away 2x is 4x, 12, add 6 is 18. So 4x plus 18. So we expanded, then simplified. This one here, let's expand, so 10x plus 30, take away 3x, take away 18. This time it's a negative times a positive, so it does remain negative at the end there. Then we've got 10x, take away 3x is 7x, 30 here, subtract 18 is 12. Question 9a. On the circle below, draw a diameter. Now a diameter is simply any straight line that goes across the circle straight through the centre. A chord doesn't have to go through the centre but goes straight across the circle again, so something like this, anywhere on the circle, doesn't have to go through the centre. A radius goes from the centre to the edge. And finally, a tangent is a line which touches the outside of a circle once. Question 10a, write down the coordinates at point A. Check the x-axis first, this one, then the y-axis. So the x-axis is at -3, and the y-axis is at -1, so -3, -1. Plot on the point 3, 5, go to 3 here on the x-axis, 5 on the y-axis, mark across where they meet, so right there. 10b, write down the coordinates of b. So again, x-axis first, then your y-axis. X-axis is 3, y-axis is this -2 here, so it's 3, -2. And then mark on an x at the point 0, 5, so 0 on the x-axis up to 5 on the y-axis goes right here.